Hello and thank you for tuning in. Today we have Phil McMullin of Epson UK with us to discuss digital textile printing, which is a sector that is forecast for accelerated growth as our industry flexes and retools to meet market demands. In May 2020, Allied Market Research predicted that the global digital textile printing market, which was valued at $2.2 billion in 2019, was projected to reach $8.8 billion by 2027, quadrupling in size and growing at a CAGR of 19.1% between 2020 and 2027. So let's take a deep dive into digital textiles with Phil McMullin of Epson. Welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Debbie. It's great to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
More than welcome. Lovely to have you. Phil, could you share a short summary of your career path and your role at Epson UK, please?
Yeah, certainly. I can share a very short summary of my very long career. I've been involved in the pro graphics industry in one shape or another since the 80s. A significant amount of time in the sign and display area, bit of time with Kodak and Xerox, and involved in inkjet printing from the late 90s, so a lot of experience in that direction. Recently, I've been with Epson, just come up to amazingly 8 years with the business, and at Epson UK, I look after the pro graphic side of the business, which covers all manner of ills from photo proofing, labels, signage, CAD, to name a few, but also critically in terms of growth and the subject for conversation today, the textile side of our business, which incorporates technology from dye sublimation, DTG, direct to garment, and direct to fabric now as well in the guise of the Mona Lisa products.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's so much growth. It's predicted. It's fantastic. Phil, what excites you most about the textile industry right now?
Well, that exciting is the word, isn't it? It's all changing, and from our side of the fence, our perception is that the changes are really due to the advance of digital. Digital technology is the catalyst. If we look at the Como area, for instance, in Italy, which is where our textile centre of excellence is well established, then you're looking at something like 85% plus of textile production is digital already in that Como area. But if you look at the rest of the world, we're talking well below 10%. So, the way forward is digital, and at Epson we believe we're at the forefront of that. And digital is the way forward because of the flexibility that it gives manufacturers, producers. For instance, resizing is so much easier. The color range is fantastic. You don't have any make readies. You've got easy control of order through to delivery. You can really offer bespoke production. And the big driver in a lot of the graphics industry is personalization, customization. That is also at your fingertips with digital. So that's really where the excitement is. That's really where the changes are occurring. Change is exciting. Some people see it as daunting, but change is exciting. And if you add in the desire for local production, which we'll talk about a little bit more as we go forward, then digital again is the enabler for local production in our experience. So if you look back at where we've been working with Robustelli and Fortex in Italy for about 16 years now. That Epson partnership is well established, and they're now part of the family. They joined the Epson family a few years back, and it really is the Japanese way to sit back, watch the market, learn from what's happening, talk to people, find out what people want for the future, and then develop the products that are going to satisfy the market and really take things forward. And that's really where we are now. We're at the cusp of that new generation of products, and you've got the latest generation of Mona Lisas, for instance. If we're talking about direct to fabric, offering that integration of the head technology, the ink chemistry, critically, that's come from the Vortex inheritance, and the hardware and the firmware combined with the support. So that's really where we see it in terms of going, and why it is exciting to be in the textile business right now.
Certainly is. What are the challenges, Phil, that are affecting the fashion and the sportswear markets currently?
Well, there are a lot of challenges, aren't there? And they're coming from lots of different areas, in our opinion. Supply chain is one very obvious one, and that gets a lot of press at the moment with the whole challenges around the Suez Canal, situations developed because of the COVID pandemic. So supply chain and getting product from the Far East or even the Middle East into Europe, into the UK specifically, is part of that challenge. We all know that the industry has not been particularly good as far as its environmental credentials over the last a decade or so, and that is providing challenges to the industry as well. Whether that's government legislation which is being brought in to improve or minimise the environmental impact of the industry, or whether it's demands from customers and brands to improve that, it's still providing that challenge to change to the industry producers and providers. The other area that is challenging is providing a challenge is the customer demand. We're looking at personalization and customization of everything, really driving the need to change. And that's not just in the textile industry. As a manufacturer in lots of different areas that I talked about earlier, we're seeing that really across the board. And the COVID pandemic has really accelerated that. It was already quite a strong trend before COVID kicked in, but we've seen that accelerate hugely. And it's key to customers. That's what customers want. They want a personalized product. They want it customized to their requirement. And manufacturers, producers of textile product have to respond to changing styles, changing fashions in the in the consumer space. But also, we're talking about the environment and sustainable materials coming in. Materials like bamboo and tencel are starting to become very popular. People can see the environmental credentials that they offer, and they have to be incorporated into the production world also. The other point that kind of links supply chain and environment together is the desire for everybody to carry less stock. People don't want to be stuck with stock that they might have to dispose of in some way. We hear stories about some brands burning their stock, some of them shipping it to third world countries to get rid of. All of that is no longer acceptable to do. We don't want waste. Everybody needs to minimize what they're using and critically what they're wasting. So again, that challenge is there, but there are ways to meet that challenge. And again, we believe digital technology is the way to do that. Couple that with the fact that a lot of older factories, textile factories out there, the modern factories, people don't want to be investing in very expensive large equipment like steamers and stentors if they can avoid that. They don't want to go down that route. So it's the challenge to get the technology right, get the investment right, and then be able to address those challenges that are coming our way, will continue to come our way in supply chain, environment, and customer demand in personalization and customization.
Yeah, it's the customer that's driving the agenda here, isn't it? Most definitely. Phil, how fast is on-demand production accelerating in your opinion?
Well, that's a really great question. I mean, the savvy producers are accelerating print on demand very, very rapidly, and we're seeing a huge take up in demand. For instance, from an Epson UK point of view, 2020 saw us double saw the demand double on our textile printers from 2019. So, that was driven by all the factors I just mentioned earlier. And print on demand, it's those environmental pressures as well that are kicking in. I heard a comment recently. I can't remember where it came from, but the savvy producers they print what they've already sold, and they're not trying to sell what they've printed. So they get the order, print it, ship it, get another order, print it and ship it, rather than printing some product, some textile, and then trying to sell it. They're doing it the other way around. And that goes to my point that I mentioned just a minute ago about minimizing stock holdings, minimizing waste, improving your cash flow situation by freeing up cash, not having it invested in stock that may or may not sell further down the line, and you may have to dispose of. So that on-demand production, we do see that accelerating. It's not right across the board, but there are really big pockets of producers really waking up to the advantages of printing on demand. I think that's the short lead times that customers are starting to demand. It's still enabling you to get the highest print quality, which again is critical if you're selling a product to the end customer. And also it gives flexibility to designers. There's nothing designers love more than being able to create something, produce something, and change it, tweak it, and then come up with something new and exciting in a very short space of time. So that on-demand production is definitely facilitating all of those points.
Democratizing the whole sector, isn't it? Really, from mediums, from small scale all the way up to industrial. It's incredible the diversity that we now have in this sector, and all of those new entrepreneurial business models Absolutely. That we're now seeing coming through. It really is so exciting to watch it. Phil, do you think reshoring of apparel is here to stay? We've seen the trend through the crisis. Do you think it's going to stand the test of time?
Well, obviously the UK used to be the centre of the world's textile industry if we go back far enough, and we still have incredible creative community based in the UK and Ireland. So I think from that point of view, we have the necessary resources in our armory to keep production local, to make that reshoring a permanent thing. But it's not just about the resources we have in the UK and the creative minds. We've got a lot of factors that we believe will actually lock that into the UK for some time. And some of those are pretty obvious, I suppose. COVID is one of those big factors where manufacturers of all shapes and sizes and all different industries have realized that long logistics chains are really not sustainable for the future. If we get another situation like we've had with COVID, even at a much lower level, it will compromise those long logistics chains. If we get another situation like the Suez Canal, for instance, and by the way, we were affected by that at Epsom, and that boat is still sitting in the canal waiting to be released. So that is still having an ongoing impact weeks or months after the actual first incident. So COVID has definitely reinforced the need to produce locally and keep that reshoring. If we look at our own unique situation in the UK of Brexit, which came along at exactly the same time, you couldn't have made it up, could you? Of a perfect storm to make things difficult for people importing goods. So even if the barriers to trade are sorted out and it becomes freer and easier again, which at the moment is not for everybody, there is likely to be increased costs. And clearly one thing that the industry doesn't want to do is put more cost into production and then have to either take lower profits or pass that or pass it on to the consumer, so to the customer. So Brexit will also, we think, further ensure that the reshoring stays with us. And you've already mentioned, Debbie, there's a lot of smaller independent brands that are sprung up. They're very flexible. They can pivot and maneuver themselves very quickly, and digital technology allows them to do that. So if you've got all of this this technology at your fingertips. You've got the creative minds, the designers in the UK. You know, we've got a fantastic fashion industry from that point of view. If you lay on top of that the expectation from customers now of much shorter lead times that are becoming standard, and then critically you've got the global brands leveraging the digital technology and realizing that because it is digital, you can actually print locally but still control the consistency of the quality. So regardless of whether you print something in South Africa or you print it in London, you end up with the same result if you follow the right the right quality control. So that really does enable even the bigger global brands to produce locally, producing where they're going to sell the product, and that's good for the UK industry. It's also good for the planet because we're moving a lot less finished stock around, and we're likely to create a lot less waste. So for all of those really good reasons, I do believe that the reshoring that we're seeing will accelerate further, and we'll see as digital technology is adopted more and more by the smaller producers, but also the bigger global brands, that we've got a great future for the textile industry on these shores.
Fantastic, isn't it? It really is. It's amazing to see all of this convergence of technology come to this pivotal point, really, that just unlocks so many new opportunities for people at all different levels and different parts of the landscape of textiles. Phil, which areas of the marketplace do you think present the most exciting opportunities for the digital textile printer?
Everywhere.
Okay.
I mean, it's really the limit is the imagination of the people in the industry, and I've already alluded to the fact that we have some fantastic creatives in this country. They're absolutely leading the world. So anything that you can design, that colors that you can create, all of that is now easy to reproduce, cost effective to reproduce on digital technology. So it really is down to the creatives, the innovators to come up with new ideas and just exploit every possible opportunity that there is out there. I truly believe we've only really scratched the surface at the moment with everything that's happening, but we are, as I've already said, we are seeing this personalization and customization right across the board, really driving home since the pandemic began. So that's really where the opportunity is. I would say that the key to maximizing your return on it, though, is the service level. That's really where companies, producers are going to score and be able to offer that personal service, high quality service to their end customers. That's what will generate the loyalty, and that's what will ensure that you have a sustainable business going forward. But I think the opportunity is really limited just by your imagination.
And by your own business model, isn't it, really? I guess, and the legacy that you move forward, you touched on it before, the entrepreneur doesn't have the baggage of a traditional textile plant, etc., moving forward. So it's just so exciting right now. It really is. Phil, just wanted the last question actually. Do you think decor and apparel offers the wide format sector a new space for convergence?
Yeah, definitely. The wide format sector has always been very flexible. Again, very creative, very innovative, and digital again has been the instigator of that, or the facilitator of that flexibility. So if you are a designer, if you've got design skills, if you can understand color management, and you're used to working under pressure and working under customer demands, then printing onto textile is just another step that you can take. Now, there's obviously different levels and different ways to get into that. I mean, for example, Epson has a vast range of technology, starting from our little baby A4 dye sublimation printer at £400, which will get you into small scale dye sublimation printing, sampling, that kind of thing, right the way up to the full scale Mona Lisa production units at £500,000 if you're really at the serious business end printing textiles in big volumes. So there's lots of steps in between, lots of different ink sets, lots of different types of technology that you can look at and invest in and help you make that step. But if you're not in the textile business, then convergence of apparel and decor is definitely starting to happen. Sometimes it's better to stay a specialist in a particular area, but if you're a small business and you've got an existing customer base that's looking for you to fulfill all of their branding opportunities, then stepping into that textile arena is relatively easy to do with a low investment and not an additional amount of skills to add on to it. One caveat I would say though is the area that I think we are lacking in the UK is the finishing side of things. It's relatively easy now with digital technology to print onto almost anything, but can you then finish that into something that is saleable? And I think that's definitely where there is a skills gap and will mean a lot of the textile industry will stay within the remit of specialist producers because of that difficulty. It's not so much the print side, but it's the finishing side that will be the restrictor on that. But with decor, for instance, the finishing typically can be a lot simpler, a lot easier to accommodate in an existing business. So, for instance, on our signage side of the business, we're seeing a lot of companies that were historically in signage and vehicle graphics, they're moving into bespoke decor to decorate their customers' offices and also homes as well with textiles, with wallpapers, and that kind of thing. So again, we've seen it over the last decade or so. Digital technology breaks those barriers down, and it is really that knowledge of designing, working with big color files, color management, and then the finishing, as I say, which are the key points. If you can master all of that, then really the world is your oyster.
It most certainly is, isn't it? Yeah, it really, really is. Phil, thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you. Thank you for sharing your insights and your experience. It really is. It's just so great to hear about all of the new opportunities that our industry now has, as you say, at the fingertips with the right technology at the right time, and with all of these catalysts that have just absolutely pushed the agenda forward so much. Thank you to Phil, thank you to our guests, thank you to everyone for listening. If you have any cues for Phil, questions for Phil or myself, please do use the comments box below. I'll also share details of how you can connect to the Epson team to explore digital textile printing further. And that's all for today. Phil, thank you so much. We could have chatted for a lot longer.
Thanks, Debbie. Good to speak to you. Thank you.
So thank you everybody for listening. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much, Phil.
Goodbye.